Hi everyone, it's Kristen again, and today on Simply Sketching, I am going to be sketching with watercolors. If you don't want to sketch with watercolors, that's fine. You can go along with pencils or pens, whatever you want. I just want to do watercolors to, excuse me, kind of give a little array of all the different materials you can use to play around with, and just improve your skill. So today we are going to be doing a watermelon, or at least most of a watermelon slice. Now, you might not be able to finish this until it completely dries, and finishing, I just mean drawing the seeds. But while we're doing that, if I have time, I will also do like a little strawberry. Let's get started. So I have my watercolor brush. I just have one, and then I just have this little, it's very, very messy, but this is just my little Van Gogh watercolor palette. It's got a bunch of different colors in it, some mixing trays. As you can see, it's very messy, not clean. And my little water, and down tucked beside me are some paper towels that we might need to use. If you don't have watercolors, but you'd like to emulate what I'm doing without buying watercolors, you can use food coloring at home. I'm going to be using red and green. So if you have some Christmas food coloring and water, then try along, and then once it dries, you can just get a black marker and draw the seeds in. So we're gonna start. I got my watercolor brush. I'm gonna dip it in water. Now this is gonna be hard for you to see, so I'm gonna explain as best as I can. We are going to draw a triangle without the top. The top is gonna look flattened. So instead of the triangle coming to a point, it's going to come to a flat top. I guess I could draw it real quick. But let me just, I'll paint it on with water, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint it on with water, and then I'll hold it up to the camera and see if you can see it. But it is a flat-topped triangle. So I would draw a small line first, and then bring your triangle down from that flat line, and then finish your triangle at the bottom. We're wanting to do this because we want to fill that whole triangle in with water. This is a technique that's called wet-on-wet watercolor painting. It'll help our colors disperse and mix together. It'll be able to create its own ombre effect, as long as I do it correctly. That's always a up in the air situation, huh? But let me get this painted in, and then hopefully when I hold it up, you will be able to see where I have put these lines at to get our bitten off triangle. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, you can kind of see it. I can kind of see the glare where I have the triangle bottom and it comes up, but instead of coming to a point, it stops and it's just a flat top, almost like someone has bitten off the top of the triangle. Because I held it up, it ran a little bit, but that's okay. All right, we're gonna go in with my red. And again, if you're using red watercolor paints, use that. If you want to use food coloring, use that. If you have markers, we're going to start at the top of the triangle with, red, and you can use red markers to kind of start drawing it in. You can even, if you use red markers, you can get some water to kind of fade it out after you've colored it in. It won't work as well as watercolor paints, but it will work a little bit. So here's what I did. Now, because I held it up and it ran a little bit, you will have the tendency of your paint running outside your line, and that's okay. This is just sketching. This is just getting used to maybe using watercolor, and this is what I've started with. So I have that, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna rinse off the red that is currently on my brush, and I'm just gonna use water to pull the color down farther, but it's gonna dilute it and make it a lighter red. So we'll do that. And I'll show you that as soon as I get that done. We're gonna pull that down closer to the bottom of the triangle, not all the way to the bottom, but closer to it. And then it's gonna be like that. You see how it's starting to lighten up a little bit? It's not as, it's dripping a little bit because I'm holding it up. But yours won't do that because you won't be holding yours up. If it does drip again though, it's okay. And then I'm gonna rinse my brush off again. And I'm actually gonna wipe it off on some paper towels just to get rid of any residual red that might be there. And I'm gonna go into my green now. And I'm using, it's just a dark green. You can use whatever green you have. You can use a marker. I'm gonna use my green, and I'm gonna find the very bottom edge of my triangle, and I'm gonna lay in a layer of green. There's my layer of green. And I'm going to just put another thicker line up, and I'm gonna do exactly what I did with the red. I'm gonna rinse the rest of the green off, and then I'm gonna go back in with just water and let it pull up the color and let it lighten. Let it do what watercolor does, and that's mix. And then right where they meet, I'm just gonna lay in another little layer of water. And then the best part about the sketch is you just let it go. You let it go and it does what it does. It'll mix, it'll dry. You can't do anything with black until it dries. If you put black on this, especially watercolor, it'll blow out like a spider. And you don't, at least I don't think you want that. But I wouldn't do that. So let this completely dry. While you're waiting, we can do a very quick strawberry. So I'm gonna go back in with my red, and I'm just gonna draw a heart shape. It's not a perfect heart shape, but it's a heart shape. Heart shape. And then I'm gonna fill this in, but I'm not gonna fill it in all the way. I'm gonna leave a couple white spots, not big white spots, just a couple, just to give a little dimension. And there's that. I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna go back in with some green. I'm gonna put a couple little leaves. Again, we're using the same colors that we did for the watermelon. The only color I will probably bring into the strawberry will be some yellow. Now this one, we're gonna start the stems at the top, and if you touch the red, it'll bleed in green. That's gonna be hard to see, but that's okay because that's what strawberry stems do. Strawberry stems need to kind of, that's the core of the strawberry. So that's what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like that stem, going into the center of the strawberry, and that's okay. While this is still wet, I'm just gonna dip a little bit of my yellow, and I'm just gonna make little yellow dots. Now they are going to flare out like spiders, and that's okay. But they're gonna be like the seeds of a strawberry. You can wait for this to dry before you do the seeds if you want to. You can add some dark red dots and then yellow dots. You can do it however you want, but in the end, there's a beautiful strawberry. There's our seedless watermelon right now. Again, when it dries, you can add in seeds, and there's that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.